living trust. So in some sort of fashion, I'm doing some kind of trust-based plan for my clients instead of depending on a will. And so this is one way that you can actually avoid the probate process, is by having a fully funded trust. So what is a trust? So think of a trust, and I'm going to have to be quick. Think of your trust, that's supposed to be a bucket, okay? And is it, all right. I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to try to. Good. All right. So you have this bucket, and in this bucket, you're putting all your important stuff in this bucket, okay? So your house, your money, you can even do life insurance, any kind of retirement accounts, bank accounts, anything you can think of. Even cool stuff like personal property and jewelry, right? So while you're living, this trust is an agreement. It really is just a contract. So very similar to a will in that you're telling us how and when you want people to receive stuff from this trust agreement. So it's just a written contract. That's all it is. And then through this contract, you're telling us how you want things to be dispersed to your heirs, okay? And the reason why I have arrows coming in and arrows going out is because you can make as many changes to this trust agreement. You can put stuff in it, you can take stuff out, you can make changes to the actual contract itself, okay? But, all right, you have all this stuff in this important bucket, but what happens when you kick the bucket? That's the big question. Instead of everything just kind of flying out everywhere in disarray like it probably would be in probate, everything is kept safe in this trust. So instead of us having to rely on the probate process to disperse assets, what ends up happening is that your family actually brings the trust agreement to an attorney's office and they make the disbursements that way. Totally private, no need for probate, as long as it's funded in the right way. So what does funded mean? Making sure this house is owned in the name of the trust. So like Curtis, it would be, we will do a new deed that shows that Curtis is giving it to Curtis, the trustee of the whatever trust, all right? So you don't lose control. That's a great thing about it. Same thing with your bank accounts. We would have the trust owning the bank accounts. For stuff like life insurance and retirement accounts, we can actually update the beneficiary designation to the trust. Now, why is this key? And I'm running out of time. This is key because if you have children under 18, are just people you just don't trust to be able to receive a lump sum. Through this trust agreement, you can decide how and when your children or whoever would receive what's in the trust. So a lot of my clients will do it at ages. So, 30, 35, 40, just an example. Stages. So when my child gets married or they want to start a business, those kind of things. So it gives you so much control over assets that you normally wouldn't have that much control over. Think about it. If you do a life insurance designation, a life insurance company is going to cut a check to the beneficiary and they're done. Versus this trust agreement, you can make sure that money is literally there for their lifetime.
Can you dictate the instructions on how and what?
Absolutely. I have some people that are extremely creative. And then I have some folks that are, look, I taught them everything they need to know. I'm going to give them everything at whatever age, and it's up to them. But we can even protect the way that they receive stuff, like through this trust agreement, you can actually protect your beneficiary. So let's say you were concerned about a child getting married and divorced. There are certain asset protection features we can put in this trust to where that isn't a part of the divorce settlement, those kind of things. So you can get really, really creative. We can put a lot of protections in here if you want to. We don't have to. But the biggest benefit is control. Now, are a lot of people planning like this? No. But should they? Absolutely. Now, the biggest thing and the biggest difference is cost, right? So with the trust versus a will is always going to be cheaper because there's not a lot of work involved on the front end. As you can imagine, with the trust, we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting now because that's how we're able to bypass probate. Because instead of us waiting, so with the will, you don't actually transfer title until probate. All right. So that's why, yeah, a will is only going to cost you a couple $100s to work with that attorney, but that attorney is also hoping that your family calls them when you pass away so you can get the probate money. But with the trust, you're actually transferring title now. You're doing all that heavy lifting. So there isn't a lot of work to do once you pass away. So, yeah, are there any questions about that? So, Will, you're not doing anything but just saying where you want stuff to go. There is no other work done. With the trust, we're drawing up where you want everything to go, and we're actually transferring title over to that trust so that trust controls.
The only question I have is, should that be part of a larger asset protection program?
It can be.
Okay.
So a living trust is the vanilla, right? I really do think that's where people should start instead of doing a basic will. Do a living trust.
Okay.
But within this trust and there are other trusts, there are asset protection trust. Since I am dealing a lot with baby boomers, their asset protection trusts are, okay, help me if I need Medicaid. How can I have it to where the federal government doesn't come back and try to get my assets back or put a lien on my house after I pass away?
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is asset protection, okay? So a little bit more complex and comprehensive, but every plan is always going to include a vanilla trust. And then if we need to do some other cool stuff like special needs planning, asset protection, those kind of things, we can do other stuff too.
Real estate and all that.
Exactly. So a lot of other things, yeah.